Recently, in the last day, there has been some news about um, the entry requirements for Thailand, which has changed, and some people are a little bit not clear about it, as were we. But after taking a good look at it overnight, I just wanted to share this video with you to explain what was going on. All right. So most of the stuff is around the Thailand pass. There's nothing about visas or anything like that. You can get your visas just the same as before. It's just about getting the Thailand pass. All right, so what has happened is that they have actually turned off the test and go system. Okay, and that's a system where they've removed the quarantine to just one night. So that has been suspended. Everything pre-December, everything is back to where it was pre-December. So let's take a look at the announcement and sort of analyze it a little bit before we get into the Thailand pass itself. So here we are on the website, and let's look at the announcement. Let's shift down to English here. Alright, so due to the current COVID-19 situation, the registration for Thailand Pass has been revised as follows. The test and go scheme will be temporarily suspended from the 22nd of December. Okay, so it's already suspended as from midnight Bangkok time. Okay, for the sandbox program, only the Phuket sandbox will be open for registration. Alright, that's clear so far. And for people who already have a Thailand pass, okay, the QR code is valid for travel into Thailand. Okay, so you already were approved for Thailand pass, you already have the QR code, you are good to go. You can be used to enter Thailand. For those people who have registered but have not yet received the QR code, your application is in the approval process and you will be notified of the result accordingly. Now, I'm a very guy that is deep on clarity, and I'm not sure what that means. Let us look at it in a very benign, positive way and think that, hey, it's just going to be a normal if you're going to be approved or not, okay, as it was before. I have the feeling that if you've already registered, I mean, logically, let's not use the word feelings here, okay, but logically, it makes sense that if you already had put in your application before this news, that they're going to treat your application as a normal application, and then you will be, approved or rejected as normal, and the QR code will be valid. That's just what I think that's going to happen. I mean, normally, even though many people say otherwise, the way how they deal with immigration in Thailand is quite logical and quite straightforward. Okay, and effectively, all travelers entering Thailand through testing or sandbox scheme must undergo a second PCR test. Okay, and the government is going to pay for that PCR test. So you already paid for one PCR test, probably through when you booked your hotel, or you might have paid separately depending on where you're going or what website to use and all of that. But at this point, if you already have a QR code, then this means that you already paid for a PCR test, whether you knew it or not. Okay, so they're going to want a second PCR test, and the government will pay for that second PCR test. Okay, now the last piece of news here is after 0800 hours, this is midnight, all travelers must register under the alternative quarantine scheme. Okay, so this means that I'm not sure what this means actually. It's not clear. Does it mean that if you have a QR code, or does it mean that if you're going to register on the Thailand Pass website? Looking at it logically, it seems to mean that if you're going to register on Thailand Pass, then only the Phuket Sandbox or the ASQ, the Alternative Quarantine Scheme, is going to be available to you, and we're going to see that in a moment. So that's what I think that means. Okay, so there's just some clarity, a little bit of clarity that I'm not entirely clear about these two last points here. But the first 2 points, if you already have your QR code, you're good to go. And if you have already applied and you're waiting for your results, you're probably good to go as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the actual Thailand Pass website itself, and let's try to do some applications and see what's available and what's not. Okay, so for non-Thai people, okay, which we are, All right, so you see here you have the test and go plan. This is the one night, the one day on the hotel, one day of quarantine. You have the sandbox program. This is for Phuket only. Okay, and then you have the alternative quarantine program right here. Okay, and this is the old school 10 to 14 days of quarantine. All right, so let's look at test and go. What you need: straightforward insurance, one day booking, negative COVID test, and you must have the full vaccination, at least 2 doses. All right, so let's try to register. Of course, you cannot register because they have turned that off as of midnight. So it's not possible to register for the test and go system anymore. Let's look at the sandbox program. They're calling it a blue zone sandbox, but let's just refer to it as a sandbox because that's what it is. And the list of sandbox areas, it was expanded before, but now it's deprecated to only the Phuket sandbox area. Okay, so it's only the Phuket sandbox. As before, you must be fully vaccinated, at least 2 doses. You need to book for 7 days. Okay, get a negative COVID test, of course. And for this one, you can apply for this Thailand pass. Okay, that is quite fine. Now, if you want to go to Phuket, the third one is the alternative quarantine scheme, and that's the old scheme. Stay in quarantine for 10 to 14 days. Okay, full vaccination is not required under the scheme. Okay, so 10 days, I think it's 10 days if you are vaccinated already. You only need to spend 10 days in quarantine. If you are not vaccinated or partially vaccinated, then you need to spend 14 days. All right, so again, I can click on this and I will go ahead and I can apply for my Thailand pass just as before. Yeah, so the news is not all that bad, guys. If you're really wanting to come to Thailand now and for long term, then like if you're coming on STV visa, if you're coming for retirement, if you're coming to take up a job or start a business or something like that, then the alternative quarantine system is the way to go, or you can spend 7 days and go to Phuket and then travel to anywhere in Thailand that you want. That's for you. If you're only coming here for a short vacation, obviously 2 weeks or something like that, then this is not for you. Okay, and unfortunately, for those guys who want to do 7 days, 2 weeks in Thailand or something, that game is over for now. Okay, and that's just the way how Thailand is. The country is very conservative, guys. Conservative in the sense that it's more of a kind of a collective mentality here, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that Thailand looks at the group first and the individuals next, whereas in the West, in the Western type countries, we tend to look at individuals first and the group last. Okay, so it's a kind of a reverse situation here, and some people are saying, "Oh my God, they went back on their word, and why not go to Mexico instead? Why not go to South America? Blah 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 blah." You know what? Those are fine destinations. Those are great places to go. And if you really need just the holiday, the short holiday, yeah, why not? Okay, but I think if you're gonna spend like a month in Thailand, it makes sense to do the quarantine 10 days, 14 days. It's a pain in the neck, but you're not going to lose days. They're going to give you the 30 days plus an extra 10 or 14 days depending on what your status was when you entered. So you'll have either 40 days or 45 days, as the case may be, that you'll get the stamp for, and you can get an extension and you can stay longer. But for the guys who just want to be the 2-week millionaires, or you just want a nice vacation with your family to Thailand or something like that, then those bets are off right now. Okay, so guys, I hope this was helpful. Oh, one last thing I wanted to show you guys. It's the TAT website. Okay, and this website is a good website to keep abreast of with things that are happening with the entry requirements in Thailand. As you can see, all the updates about quarantine and so on are right here. The Tourism Authority of Thailand, tatnews.org website. Okay. So you see the news here that we were talking about has been updated. Normally they update it within 24 hours of things happening. And if you want a good official source that you can trust, this is the place to come to. Okay. And the whole story is here. Okay. You can go ahead, bookmark this website. And of course, check out our updates on our YouTube channel, Bandsmile, as well. And if you have questions or if you need help to get your long-term visa like a STV or retirement or something like that, then you can go to bandsmile.com and we'll be able to help you with that. And for those guys who need help with the Thailand pass, we can also help with that as well. We have services for all of these things. We're standing by and ready to help you to get into Thailand. See you next time.
What are you waiting for?
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 Yes, correct. What are you waiting for? The world may not be in a great shape right now, but it's very possible to come to Thailand. It's actually easier to live in Thailand for a longer time than it was before. With Bandsmile can get you the right long-term visa, find a perfect house, open the local bank account, or even open the business here. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below or go to bandsmile.com and get started.